Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call this Quality Life and Public Safety Committee meeting to order for today, Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. We are streaming live on Comcast Channel 96 and on Frontier Channel 6032. And we also are streaming on HPA-TV.org and on our social media, the social media channels of Hartford Public Access TV. My name is Councilman TJ Clark. I serve as the council's majority leader and the co-chair of this committee, and I'm joined by Councilman Nick LeBron, who is a voting member, and Councilman Josh Mitchum, who is a voting member as well. And we are joined by Director Sue Webster, Chief Jason Thody, and Sergeant Chris Mastriani of the Hartford Police Department. And I believe our Fire Chief Rodney Barkle will be joining us shortly. So we are going to go in order. We're going to be provided with a presentation from our Director of Emergency Services and Technology, Sue Webster.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for the introduction. So emergency services and telecommunications, this evening I'd like to report on our radio project. So we've been working on our radio RFP for the past 2 years. I am pleased to announce that through all of our hard work in conjunction with Hartford Police, Hartford Fire Department, and our procurement department, we have selected a vendor. That vendor is Eastern Communications. We are just starting our contract negotiations with Eastern. We've had one meeting this week. We have another meeting at the end of this week as we work through the process. So that's really the major thing that's going on in ES&T right now. I know another thing that this committee is highly interested in is our staffing. We have been doing very, very well as far as recruitment is concerned. We've been working with Capital Community College as well to work with some of the Hartford residents in order to prepare them for a career in emergency telecommunications. We currently have 7 employees in our training program. We intend to have 6 additional start the first week of October. And then in 5 to 6 weeks after that, we have an additional 6 that we intend on starting. We also have interviews that we'll be conducting this week after testing was completed by the Human Resources Department. So I'm highly optimistic with our new training coordinator and our training program that as we move forward, we're going to be back to full staffing quicker than we originally assumed. So very excited about that, excited about the radio project, and everything else within the department is status quo. So I'm happy to take any questions from the committee.
Thank you for that update. Question for you. When there's a call for service that comes in through 911, who actually prioritizes that? Is that ES&T or is that after it's been switched over to, let's say, fire or the police?
So we have specific protocols that we follow regarding the call intake process. We use a the Power Phone Protocol, which is a state of Connecticut approved protocol. So we enter the information that is gathered by the dispatcher at the time of call or the call taker at the time of call. And based on the nature of the call, we determine the response. But we don't set those responses, so they're all preset by both the police department and the fire department. The police department has 3 different priorities that they respond to, A, B, and C, A being the highest priority call. And those calls are actually set by Chief Thody and his team as to, for an active domestic, for instance, that will automatically be an A priority call. Property damage is typically a C priority call because it doesn't rate as high as an active type call. And from the fire department's perspective, it's also based on the type of call. So if it's a structure fire, the chief and his team have already set those standards as to what type of apparatus are sent to those types of calls, how many engines, the rescue, how many ladders, how many district chiefs, and so forth need to be sent to each individual call.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from my committee members? Councilman LeBron.
Yes, and through you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So my question is to the Hart team. If Director Webster can inform us, I heard about the fire prioritization and that tiered response. How does the Hart team response bake into this?
Sure. I love to talk about the Hart team. It's such an exciting a program that the city of Hartford has taken on. So the Hart team calls are done based on the type of call. So, and of course, we have 3 different entities under the Hart team umbrella. We have the Capital Region Mental Health. They typically go on a co-response with the police department, and those are for suicidal ideations, homicidal ideations, anybody with a weapon, and severe mental health emergencies. So they're typically a co-response. They're notified of the response, and law enforcement is sent on an A priority call. As far as Wheeler is concerned, Wheeler responds to children that are under the age of 18, unless they're in high school, then they will respond to an 18-year-old crisis, and they will respond to any mental health crisis for those age groups. So they'll respond to just difficulties with their parent. They'll respond to homicidal and suicidal, and they will go on a co-response with law enforcement as well. And CRT is the last team, and they've actually been the most active team, and they respond to panhandling complaints. They'll go to loitering complaints. They'll go to homelessness. And those are all also prioritized by the dispatcher. CRT typically does not go on a co-response with law enforcement, but we do have law enforcement officers and fire in the field that will request the response of any of the 3 entities. So those are all typically prioritized by the dispatchers while they're in the call intake process.
Thank you, Director. Sounds exciting. And I appreciate all the work. I know it was a ton of work on the front end. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's my only question.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions for Director Webster? Okay, Director Webster, thank you very much for your presentation.
My pleasure.
All right, have a good one. Next up, we'll have Chief Thody and an update from the Hartford Police Department.
Good evening. Working here to get this up and running. Can we see it?
Yes, we can, Chief.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So good evening, everybody. And Good to virtually see everyone. We'll get right into the presentation here. So we've been talking about this a little bit, kind of leading up to the big day, which was last week on September 14th. We attended a meeting with the Post Council, the Police Officer Standard and Training Council, which is the accrediting body for law enforcement in the state of Connecticut. And we officially achieved Tier 1 state accreditation after a unanimous vote by the Post Council. So that marks the first time in the history of the Hartford Police Department that we've ever been accredited. So 162 years, I believe. So big step for the department. This process included an evaluation of our core policies and procedures. I believe it's 75 of the core policies and procedures that the department follows. And then once they evaluate those policies, they come in and we have to provide proof that we're following the policies. So accreditation, I think, is important because of those two main elements. One, that you have policies that meet best practices, and then two, that you follow them. So they spent a day here at the PD going around talking to people and examining our processes and making sure that we're kind of we're following the policies that we have and that those policies meet standards. So it's a great step forward for the department, but we quickly shifted gears, and now we've already begun the process of seeking our national accreditation with CALIA, which is the national body of accreditation for law enforcement. Our academy started a few weeks back. We have 22 total recruits, which is not a number to necessarily put on the fridge, but it is better than our numbers that we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years. This is the largest class that we've seen in at least the last 2 years, or the last 3 classes. Our racial ethnic minority percentage for that class is 68.2%. That is a great number for us, especially in this time in law enforcement, and 4.5% white female, bringing us to a total of 72.7% minority representation in that class. And 2 of the individuals in the class are also city residents. Their anticipated graduation is January of 2023, and they cannot come on board soon enough. So we will be happy to see them. Our CompStat package for this week, overall 9% up in Part 1 crime for year to date. We are down 4%, or 1 homicide. We're down by 1, and we are down 13%, or down 13 overall shooting incidents and shooting victims for 2022 compared to 2021. Area of concern continues to be robbery. We are up by 39% in robbery with a firearm and 43% in robbery other. Most of our other areas are relatively stable. Burglary spiked in the beginning of the year. It has started to level off, but we're still up 36% in burglary as well. So our violent crime numbers are trending in the right direction, but we've got some work to do in the burglary and robbery department. Aggravated assault with firearms down from 143 to 111. That's down 29% overall. Again, another number trending in the right direction. For this CompStat week, this week compared to the same week in 2021, we're down 34% in overall Part 1 crimes, down from 102 in 2021 this past week to 76 a year ago. Again, those numbers trending in the right direction. Our 28-day period numbers also, which is a kind of a more recent reflection of crime trends going up and down, we're down 49% in our 28-day period overall crime. 459 Part 1 crimes to 309, down almost 50%. So again, most of the numbers you'll see in that 28-day period column are trending in the right direction. Only 2 areas that are in the red are burglary and robbery, as I mentioned earlier. We've had some complaints from the downtown area, especially in the last 3 to 4 weeks. We also saw an uptick in some criminal activity in the downtown area. We saw some business, especially business fronts broken into. We had a stabbing on Pratt Street. Some of this, a lot of this has been attributed to some of our unhoused individuals downtown. So we've been working with the Hart team. We've been working with Hands on Hartford, but we've also been doing enforcement down there. As we noted, this uptick in the last 30 days, we've made 154 arrests downtown. Those arrests include custodial arrests and summons arrests for warrants, quality of life violations, breach of peace, and so on and so forth. We have had a significant presence down there in the last 4 weeks. 27 traffic stops and 154 arrests in 30 days downtown is significant. I've certainly noticed a difference as I drive directly through downtown to get to my residence. So I have noticed a difference, and I've heard some very positive feedback from especially the businesses downtown. So we will continue. We will continue with that effort. We did receive a correspondence regarding some of the traffic activity on Main Street, which the traffic division will be addressing. Again, 27 traffic stops just in the downtown area in the last 30 days. So we will be looking at those as well. But as we talk about on this meeting quite often, we get complaints from different neighborhoods at different times about different spikes and different crimes, and we address those as they come in. So downtown is no exception, and we'll be looking at the noise complaints from motor vehicle traffic on Main Street, as well as the safety violations and speeding on Main Street as well. But this is where we are in the last 30 days alone. Homicide non-fatal shooting data from 2022. Again, homicides year to date 27, non-fatal shootings to date 104. As you can see, the homicide and non-fatal activity is predominantly driven by personal disputes. Still, 36.5% of that violent crime is being driven by personal disputes, followed by drug-related disputes and group disputes at 10.6 and 8.7% respectively. This is our overall 4-year trending data. Top is cumulative homicide and shooting. As you can see, with the exception of 2019 being a little bit lower, 2020, 2021, and 22 have been relatively stable, although we are down from 2020 in overall homicide and shooting activity. And then the bottom one is just homicides. We're, again, trending pretty similar. 2020, we were down by 1 from 2019, which was down by 1 from 2022, which is down by 1 from 2021. But that's our violent crime trend. Homicide arrests, 12 year to date, 5 cold case arrests, 7 major crimes division arrests for 2022, and 2 active arrest warrants for homicides for 2022. Gun data, we always share this. Total 276 for the year, 239 pistols, 5 rifles, 6 shotguns, 5 assault weapons, and the most significant number that we talk about every month is 45 ghost guns. That's up from a total of 29 ghost guns seized in 2021 and a total of 7 in 2020. So that is the trend that we're really trying to have an impact on. This is just a visual of some of the firearms seized in the last 30 days since our last meeting. Drug seizures, we have surpassed, as the box says, all drug seizures year to date have already surpassed the entire year of drug seizures for 2021. The Vice Intelligence and Narcotics Division has been doing a great job out there executing search warrants. As you can see at the bottom on the left, the year-to-date search warrants are at 56. We did 59 in all of 2021 and 26 in all of 2020. So those seizures are up. As we know from the violence analysis that we did, these drug transactions were driving a lot of our violence, and now that category has been that number 1 category has been taken over by personal disputes. So we're hoping that we're having an impact on that. We're going to keep driving that home. Not to mention the fentanyl. Obviously, the overdose risks of fentanyl are so extremely high that that's a big focus of ours. As you can see, we've seized 67,000 bags compared to 39,000 in all of 2021, and we still have a few months left in 2022. Traffic stop data, last 30 days, 1,100, just over 1,100 traffic stops, 797 of them are speed related. We have been focusing on speed in the last 2 months because that's what we've been hearing is the problem out there. Stop sign violations still up at 49 and traffic signal violations at 39. We hear about those as well. Seatbelt at 6 and OUI arrests for the last 30 days operating under the influence at 15. Occupied stolen motor vehicle arrests at 104 so far year to date compared to 112 in all of 2021 and 188 in 2020. The Greater Hartford Regional Auto Theft Task Force is still up and running. And they're doing some great work out there. We've got some task force announcements that'll probably be coming next month with some state funding to do a violent crime task force, a gun tracing task force, and some other task forces. I think this Greater Hartford Auto Theft Task Force has really been a model for other departments and for other regions. And when we work collaboratively as regional police departments, we can be a lot more successful because the crimes really don't know boundaries. As we know with auto theft, a lot of these cars were being stolen from the suburbs, and we were being brought into Hartford to commit violent crime and other crime. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of our launching of that. And I think folks are seeing the value in it, and we're going to start to use those task force mentalities in other crime categories as well, especially violent crime. So more to come on that in the future. And we're hoping for we just got word of another potential grant award that's kind of an offshoot of our non-fatal shooting team that will be kind of encompassing other departments, not just police, in our greater violence reduction efforts. That's just a little bit of a teaser. We can't officially announce it yet, but I've heard through the grapevine that we may have been awarded that grant. So hopefully that announcement will be coming next month. Other than that, thoughts and prayers are with everybody in Puerto Rico. With the hurricane down there, we've got a lot of family and friends in Puerto Rico. So just want to extend our well wishes to folks and hope they get their power and water back soon and everybody is safe. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Chief, for your detailed presentation, per usual. I just received notice regarding a double homicide that just took place not too far from the public safety complex on between Grand and Rush Street. Are you able to talk about that? If you know any information?
So I'm not really going to talk about that too much because, as you said, it just came in. I do not believe that it is a double homicide. I did get a report that one individual succumbed to their injuries. I'm just checking my updates here. Just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, but we did have a shooting this afternoon, and I do believe one person succumbed to their injuries so far. I don't have, I believe the initial shot spotter activation came in at 640 Broad Street. I don't know if that location has changed. Chris, do you have anything updated on that?
Yeah, no, it's pretty much, right there on Broad Street, around that 600 block. 2 people struck, 1 person deceased, the other one is non-fatal.
Yeah, like I said, that thread came in just before I got back from the opening of the Hartford Archdiocese Community Center. I was there with the mayor, so we'll have more on that later, but that stuff's coming in as we speak.
Thank you very much. And also, too, just want to recognize Council President Mallory Rosado, who is a voting member, and I did see it. There she goes. Attorney Fiola Guerreri as well from our Corporation Counsel's office that has joined us. Councilman Mitchell, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And sorry I don't have my camera on, but I'm driving, so I'm trying not to have more distractions. Chief, I just had a question about the accreditation that you talked about first. What does it do? Like, what does it get? Like, it's not bad, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to, like, what benefits does it bring to the department to have that accreditation going forward?
So accreditation is really just a test of your compliance with best practices. We've looked into this in years past. We've been looking at it for a while. When I came into planning and accreditation, we started that division in 2012 when I was a lieutenant under Chief Ravella. He brought me in to look at that. Basically, it's really an evaluation of your policies. At the time, we had a lot of outdated policies. Some of them dated back to before I was born. And that's not, that happens in departments. They're very cumbersome. I think we had close to 400 policies, a lot of them having to do with Doppler radar and like other things that we just didn't use anymore. So the plan to be accredited was just basically to bring the department up to standards in best practices. So the state of Connecticut has an accreditation program through Post where you have to meet certain standards. And then there's also that national accreditation, like I said, through CALIA, which is just a little bit more robust. But it takes you to a place where, the department has something to be proud of in the sense that we know that our policies are passing muster in the larger law enforcement community. And like I said, there's two pieces to it. One is an evaluation of what you write down, and another is an evaluation of do you actually follow it? You have to submit proofs and things like that. The accreditation lasts for 3 years, so I don't know if it's necessarily worth doing it every 3 years. Or if it's worth doing it every 5 or every 6 or whatever it might be. But it basically just brings your department up to practices, just like any other accreditation. When you're able to say you're an accredited agency, the community, elected officials, the department itself knows that they're basically up to speed on the way they should be doing business.
Gotcha.
It doesn't get you any financial benefits. I think, years and years ago, they might have considered it with grants. I've never seen a grant that considers whether you're accredited or not. If that's the question, it doesn't get us any consideration in that regard.
Understood. Thank you.
And yes, congratulations to you and your leadership team in the department on accreditation. I remember you providing updates to the public safety, this committee, when I think you were captain when I came on council.
Yeah, I started that project as a lieutenant, and I can tell you firsthand that it is painful.
Yeah.
We tried to kind of fix the policies that we had for the better part of 2 years when I started doing it, and we just came to a realization that you can't do it that way. We had to rebuild it from the ground up, and that's what we did. And I passed the baton on to folks like Deputy Chief Lee and Lieutenant Bauza and Lieutenant Ray, and then they passed the torch on to Lieutenant Trzynski and Sergeant Tiffany Wilson, who are the two that brought it over the finish line. They are the two that that got us accredited. So I am very happy that I was here to see it from beginning to end, and I cringe a little bit even when I talk about it because I remember what a difficult process it was. But
It's been a long time.
yes.
At least 7 years from my knowledge.
Yeah.
Council President.
Yes. Hi, Chief. I just want to piggyback off Councilman Clark's comment. Congratulations on your accreditation, and I'm happy to see that you're here with us and that you saw it through. And thank you for your comments regarding Puerto Rico. So now it's time to rebuild once again. So thank you for your thoughts.
But thank you very much. Like I said, it was a great team, and even when the assessment team got here to go through the proofs, they went out of their way to comment on how great the officers were in showing them how they do their work. So it was just great to hear. I got a call from the director the administrator of Post, just complimenting the department on how our officers carried themselves through this process. And then they did an accreditation training just a few weeks ago where we were used as an example for everybody else. So part of me is just happy that I can say to Chief Barco that we're accredited too, because I spent a lot of time listening to him saying that they're a Class 1 accredited fire department. I don't think we can be. I don't think there's such a thing as a Class 1 police department. But if there is, I'm going to find out a way to do it before I leave, so I can brag to Chief Barco about it.
Well,
Yeah,
if there is, hopefully they'll be able to lower our insurance.
That might be a thing. I don't know we'd have to check into that.
I'm sorry, Councilor. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, Chief, and congratulations again. I mean, when I hear accreditation, right, kudos to the city of Hartford, even through a pandemic, right, and the department not being at full capacity, you still got it done. So congratulations again. It's nice to hear all these positive things.
They're going to give us a plaque someday, although the accreditation meeting and the vote was by Zoom, so I couldn't get it that day. But I will bring it to the public safety meeting when we get our plaque.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Mitchell.
No, sorry, I have nothing else. I'll put my hand down. My bad.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions for Chief Doherty? I did have a question regarding the ghost guns. It's alarming that the number has increased. How exactly are they being, developed and trafficked around the city?
So I can see Sergeant Mastriani twitching. He is our resident expert on ghost guns. So I will let him expand, but I believe there may be some relief coming in some legislation that shut down one of the largest providers of these ghost guns. But before I speak out of turn, I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Yeah, so the beginnings of these ghost guns was really like official manufacturers making them and selling them on the internet. However, according to ATF standards, if the gun is less than 80% finished in its manufacturing process, it is not technically a gun. So what this company did was come up crafty with a I wish I had pictures, but basically like a kit of a gun that was 80% finished and just needed the last 20%. They even provided the drill bit, a jig, instructions, everything you need to do to make that a fireable gun. And they were literally just selling these on the internet, like no different than buying something off of Amazon. The company was called P-80, and they were technically not doing anything illegal. However, these guns just went out by the thousands. They're so cheap and easy to produce these kits, and they just really flooded the United States everywhere. Obviously, those laws were looked at. Those were made just like policies, 50, 60, even longer than that, hundreds of years ago. They had to look at these laws and realize that, if you're selling at 80%, but you're giving them the drill bit and the tools and everything they need to complete it, you're really giving them an operable firearm. That website has since been shut down to selling to the public. They can only sell to licensed firearm dealers. However, it's kind of too late. They made their way out into the streets. So a lot of the ghost guns that we have seized have the letters P-80 on the bottom stamped, which is the brand of that company. I think out of the 45 we have this year, 42 or 43 of them are all that P-80 brand. So that company really did a lot of damage. And the ATF has a large-scale investigation going on them now still, because they have their doubts that they're in compliance with only selling to firearms dealers. They still think they might be leaking out to the public. The second way these are produced, which is very hard to stop, is 3D printing. 3D printing is, very cheap now. You can get a 3D printer for a few $100s. You can buy these plans off the internet, exact engineered plans of making like a Glock replica, and you can print it in your home. We had a couple good seizures this year in January. We had a nice one where we seized a 3D printer with like 30 something lower parts of the guns. So that one's a little bit more difficult to stop because they're just being done in people's living rooms and houses. Those guns are not super reliable. There's some that have like exploded, the plastic breaks, maybe they're good to shoot a couple times. They haven't been as popular as P-80s that were done a little bit better and higher quality. So that's probably a really long answer. I apologize, but the majority of our ghost guns are this P80 brand. You could actually just Google P80, P80, and you'll see their website. They were on fire for a long time, unleashing these things out into the public. 80% done. That really was the law by ATF. So they weren't doing anything illegal, but that is changing. The hope is that the more these P80s that are seized up nationally, it'll start to dry up. I mean, they only made so many, and now they're kind of shut down. But the 3D printing is the big next concern.
Thank you for the explanation. Chief, you already had referenced the traffic that's going on downtown, that we have people come before us on public comment on Monday to talk about this. So that a petition get to your office regarding the vehicular traffic?
Yeah, I saw the 2 petitions by email. That's why I included that update today. Like I said, this, our kind of enforcement efforts downtown have dated back now 4 weeks or so. That's why I was able to give some numbers that are pretty significant already. But we have bolstered it as well from those complaints, because that petition, those 2 petitions, I think from those 2 buildings there, were pretty specific about where this was occurring, and they even gave us some times, which is great. When we know kind of day of the week, time of day, that really allows us. We don't have unlimited resources, so that really allows us to focus a little bit. So I'll give you another update next month. But we have, while we have had a significant presence downtown, we will adjust it to address those petitions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other questions for Chief Doty on his presentation? None. All right. Moving on, Chief Barco is unable to join us, but he did send all of the committee members a presentation from his department. And we just have 2 items for action on our agenda. Item number 4 is a resolution from Councilman LeBron regarding the facial recognition technology, which was an item on the June 13th agenda. And I believe Councilman LeBron has requested to have this postponed. Some presentations that he's looking to have that are not available yet. So can I get a motion to postpone?
I'll make a motion to postpone this item in committee.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made by Council President Rosado and seconded by Councilman LeBron to postpone this item to next month. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's unanimous. This item is postponed. Next action item is item number 5, Mayor Broner with a company resolution authorizing the city to execute an agreement with Eastern Communications, Inc. to provide, install, and maintain the citywide radio communication system, which was an item on this past agenda on September 12th, which was item 3.11. And I believe this was the item that Director Webster was referring to in her presentation to us from ES&T. Anything else that you want to add regarding this item?
No, sir. I can tell you that it's a $5.6 million project. We intend on executing the contract with Eastern Communications. If we do not execute it for some reason with Eastern, we do have a second vendor that we are able to negotiate with as well. And we're hoping that this project will come to fruition first quarter of 2024.
Thank you. And is this, how is this paid? Is this paid through a grant?
No, sir, this is paid through city CIP.
Okay, all right, so general fund for CIP. All right, thank you. Any questions for Director Webster? Councilman Mitchton.
Thank you. Director Webster, you said it's CIP. Is that the existing budget, or that's a thing that if the contract goes through, then we would deal with it in the coming fiscal year's budget?
No, the funds have been set aside for this particular fiscal year. And then we do have, because it's a multi-year contract, we can go through other years with the CIP funding.
Got you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions for Director Webster on this item? All right, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to send this item back with a favorable recommendation back to council.
Second.
All right, thank you. The motion has been made by Council President Rosado for favorable recommendation. It's been seconded by Councilman Mitchum to send this back to council for our next meeting. Any discussions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. It's unanimous. This item is passed and will be back on the council agenda for our next meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Since we have no other business to discuss on our agenda, this meeting is now adjourned. So thank you, everyone, for your time and your service, and take care. Have a great week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Stay safe.
You-